The House will come to order. The Pledge of Allegiance this morning will be led by William Fuller, Adam Fuller, Eric Fuller, and Payson Bochard, all from Colorado Springs.
Please join us for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Kohler, please take the roll.
Representatives Becker,
William.
Buck,
Adam.
Buckner, Conti, Corum, Court, Del Grosso. Got it. Dorr excused, Duran excused, Everett, Exum, Fields, Fisher, Foote, Garcia, Gardner excused, Giroux excused, Janal, Hamner excused, Holbert, Hollinghorst. Where'd she go? Excused. Humphrey, Joshi, Kagan, Kraftarp, Labuda excused, Landgraf, Lawrence, Lebsock, Lee, May excused, McCann, McLaughlin, McNulty, Melton, Mitch Bush, Moreno, Representative Moreno, Murray, Navarro, Nordberg, Pabon excused, Peniston, Pedersen, Primavera, Priola. So did I. Absent. Rankin excused. Rosenthal. Ryden. Sane. Representative Sane. Sane. Absent. Salazar. Schaefer. Scott excused. Singer excused. Sonnenberg excused. Priola present. Stevens. Swam. Zabo. Tyler excused. Vigil. Waller. Williams. Wilson. Wright. Young excused. Speaker Ferrandino. Representative Scott present.
Where are we at?
Sane is the only one absent. It's 50, 14, and 1.
15, 14, 50, 14, and 1?
Yeah.
There's
Oh.
Sane.
51.
With 51 members present, 14 excused, a quorum is present.
Yeah.
Representative Ryden, can you do the journal because Singer's in the probes? Yeah. Just move that the reading of the journal of yesterday be approved as corrected by the chief clerk.
Representative Ryden.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the reading of the journal from yesterday, March 21st,
Fourth.
4th, be dispensed with
And approved.
and approved as corrected by the chief clerk.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Announcements and introductions. Representative Ryden for a senior moment.
Members, if I could have your attention, it's time for another senior moment. Members, I want to let you know that Senior Day at the Capitol is going to be next Wednesday, April 2nd, and it will be hosted by the Colorado Senior Lobby. And I also wanted to let you know how pleased the seniors are that we are adding more money in our budget this year for the area agencies on aging. And let me just tell you a few of the things they do to help people stay in their homes. They provide homemakers. They provide personal care services. They provide visiting folks and telephone reassurance. They deliver meals. You've all heard of the Meals on Wheels program. They help with chores and they do minor home modifications. These are all small little things, but they're so important in helping folks stay in their homes as long as possible. So, members, I hope you'll visit with them on Wednesday, April 2nd. Thank you.
Representative Primavera.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hope everyone from Public Health and Human Services Committee is listening because we accidentally got dropped from the calendar today. Public Health and Human Services will be meeting this afternoon at 1:30. We're going to have a presentation first by the Department of Human Services on the state regional centers, and then we'll hear 3 bills, 1306, 1309, and Senate Bill 51.
Representative Mitch Bush.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, members. I'd like to welcome the Colorado Cattlewomen to the House, and we have cattlewomen from all over. Let's give them a big round of applause. Woo-hoo!
Representative Vigil.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Members, if you look on your desk, you'll have this potato cookbook on your desk. It's brought to you courtesy of by the Colorado Potato Administrative Committee. They're from the San Luis Valley. And tomorrow is a big day, guys. We get our potatoes, so bring your cards so you can take your potatoes home tomorrow. We love this Valley potatoes. Tomorrow is also Ag Day in the Capitol here, so Representative Fisher, I'm sure, will give us some more updates on that, but tomorrow's an exciting day for us, for all Ag people.
Any further announcements or introductions? Okay, see none. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the House proceed out of order for consideration of Senate Joint Resolution 11.
Seeing no objection, the House will proceed out of order for consideration of Senate Joint Resolution 11. Members, please return to your desk for consideration of resolutions. One sec, Representative Schwab. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to SJR 11.
Senate Joint Resolution 11 by Senator Lambert, also Representative Swam, concerning the 104th anniversary of the Boy Scouts of America.
Representative Schwam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I move Senate Joint Resolution 14-011. This is and I ask that it be read at length.
Whereas the Boy Scout movement was first started in England by Lord Robert Baden-Powell, and whereas on February 8, 1910, William D. Boyce filed incorporation papers for the Boy Scouts of America in the District of Columbia, and whereas Mr. Boyce proposed that one of the purposes of the Boy Scouts of America would be to teach boys patriotism, courage, and self-reliance, and whereas the Boy Scouts of America instills young men with the values and mores of the Scout Oath and Law, which encourage them to make ethical and moral choices over the course of their lives. And whereas the Boy Scouts of America represents an investment in the future of America's sons and contributes to the moral and mental health of our nation. And whereas the Scout Law directs that a Scout be trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. And whereas the Boy Scouts of America is the nation's foremost youth program of character development and value-based leadership training. And whereas the Boy Scouts of America is a founding agency of the United Way. And whereas between 1910 and 2013, more than 110 million youths have participated in the Boy Scouts of America, and currently there are 3 million participants in 110,219 scouting units. And whereas Colorado Springs held the Golden Jubilee Boy Scouts Jamboree in 1960 to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Boy Scouts of America, and visitors to the Jamboree included President Dwight D. Eisenhower. And whereas the Boy Scouts of America provides an educational program for boys to build character, learn the responsibilities of participating in citizenship, and develop personal fitness. And whereas, to paraphrase Sir Winston Churchill, the Boy Scouts stand not in the silent testimony of bronze or stone, but as an institution guiding and shaping the lives and thoughts of men. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the 69th General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the House of Representatives concurring herein, that we, the members of the Colorado General Assembly, recognize the 104th anniversary of the Boy Scouts of America and the millions of people who have been a part of this organization over the years. Be it further resolved that copies of this joint resolution be sent to the Denver Area Council, Pikes Peak Council, Longs Peak Council, Western Colorado Council, and Rocky Mountain Council of the Boy Scouts of America.
Representative Schwalm.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, thank you for your time. Please be seated. Members, I think I've been involved with the Boy Scouts along with many, many other people, young men and women now, since I was a kid. I actually grew up here in the Denver area and joined a Boy Scout troop back then. I didn't get my Eagle Award, but I did get to the level of star. But the real impact it had for me was that it was my first exposure to summer camping and backpacking. I remember we took a backpacking trip up sort of west of Estes, or excuse me, right at the foot of Mount Evans, and it really made a huge impression on me. And for really the rest of my life, backpacking was very enjoyable to me. And I didn't really, you know, while I was having all that fun doing stuff with the Boy Scouts, I didn't really realize the impact that it was having on kind of the way I looked at the world and the kind of values that they taught every week by going through the Scout Law and the Scout Oath. I think that's really kind of the trick of the Boy Scouts, is that they trick you into joining with all the fun that they have, but then their real goal is to inculcate those values that are really so essential for the kind of democratic republic that we reside in. We count on having responsible citizens. Since then, and actually since I've been in the House, I've become involved with the Scouts again through the Arapahoe District, and so I've learned more about it. Now, the Boy Scouts, some of you know, have been involved. You look at their organizational charts, they're enough to make your eyes glaze over. But in the Denver Area Council, there's about, I think this is correct, the Denver Area Council, or maybe it's the whole state, there are about 70,000 youths involved, including young women, because they get involved in what are called venturing crews, and those are kids that are about 16 years and older. So they do things like water sports and things like that. And then in addition to the 70,000 kids that are involved, they have about 40,000 volunteers that all do all kinds of things and invest countless hours in the lives of these kids. And so we had the Scouts report to the state yesterday. It would have been a little bit more appropriate to do this resolution today, but given what was going on with former Speaker Bledsoe yesterday, we delayed it one day. So it was great fun for me yesterday, and I hope you enjoyed it as well, to see all the Boy Scouts running around the building yesterday. But the fun thing about the report to the state yesterday in the old Supreme Court chambers was Terrence Carroll, former Speaker Carroll, was there. He spoke at length. Joe Garcia spoke at length, Lieutenant Governor. Terrence Carroll actually became an Eagle. And he apparently was, I didn't know this before, but he was born to his mother when she was kind of late in life. And she got real active in the Scouts. And apparently at one point, they lived back in the D.C. area, I think. And they were camping, and they were rappelling down a cliff. And Terrence didn't really think he could do it until he saw I think she was almost 61 years old, rappelling down this cliff. And he said, well, if she can do it, I'll do it. So that was a fun story yesterday. And the lieutenant governor said very similar things. He didn't get to the Eagle Award either, but he said he really learned lessons through Scouts that laid the foundation for the enormous success that he's had during the course of his life. So, gosh, I wish I wasn't up here all by myself. I know there's some other Scouts in this audience, but if that's how it is, that's how it is. But I urge that you vote yes on this resolution. And with that, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, is there any objection to taking a voice vote? Seeing none, we'll proceed in that manner. All those in favor of SJR 11 say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. SJR 11 is adopted. Representative Swan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request that the current roll call be added as co-sponsors.
Seeing no objection, the current roll call will be made the co-sponsors of SJR 11.
Thank you, members.
Thank you, Representative Swan. Members, we are going to be in a brief recess while we wait for the Appropriations Committee to finish their work, and then we will move to thirds and then seconds. The House will be in a brief but pleasant recess. The House will come back to order. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move a call of the House.
Call of the House has been moved and has been properly sustained. Sergeants will close the doors. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine. Members indicate your presence. Mr. Kohler, call the members who are not here.
I like this part. Representatives Becker, Coram, Del Grosso, Dorr, Duran, Exum, Fields, Foote, Gardner, Giroux, Hamner, Labuda, Lebsock, Lee, May, Waller. I got it. No, I mean, Jovan Melton, Millie Hamner. So,
Representative Becker.
Representative Del Grosso.
TD Timothy Dorr.
How did I end up with Duran? Can we start over? Can we start from the top? Representative Becker.
Representative Dorr.
Cheater. Representative Duran.
Gardner.
Representative Giroux.
Hamner.
Well, you got to do something there, Millie. All right. Good show, good show. Representative Labuda.
Lebsock.
Representative
Lebsock.
McNulty.
McNulty, don't you have a job to do
Excused.
before you?
Murray.
No excuse for McNulty.
Well, there's only one, and it was my parents. And a Chevy. Big back seat.
What was the movie?
I don't know the answer to that. Representative Patterson.
Representative the Borg Rosenthal.
Not really.
Star Trek reference.
Not really sure what that means. But if I was him, I'd push the button.
He did.
Representative Singer.
Sonnenberg.
We're gonna lay that one down next.
When are you going to lay that one down?
Representative Lounge Singer. Lounge Singer.
What'd you steal mine for? Representative Tyler. Push the button, Max.
It's just, we thought, what are they like singers? Yeah. No. Who? Oh, yeah. There it is. Representatives Dorr, Gardner, and Labuda.
Yeah, you were way off.
I know, but I did see young before anybody.
No.
Yes,
I
I did. With my poor eyesight, I saw young before everybody else. Huh. I saw the white hair walking by and I was like, that was young.
Where's Tiki Lee? Tiki Lee.
Madam Majority Leader.
Move the call be raised. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the call of the House be raised.
Seeing no objection, the call of the House will be raised. Members, please return to your desks. We are proceeding to our next order of business. Third reading of bills, final passage. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to House Bill 1295.
House Bill 1295 by Representative McCann, Alston, and Ulibarri, concerning residential mortgage foreclosures in connection with requiring a single point of contact and prohibiting dual tracking.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of House Bill 1295 on third reading and final passage.
You've heard the motion. Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the passage of House Bill 1295 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine, and members proceed to vote. Representative Priola. Close the machine. With 38 aye votes, 27 no votes, 0 excused, and 0 absent, House Bill 1295 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1312.
House Bill 1312 by Representative Williams, Alston, and Ulibarri, concerning efforts to reduce the number of foreclosures in Colorado in connection with continuing the foreclosure deferment program.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of House Bill 1312 on third reading and final passage.
Representative Swan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I was stunned yesterday when we considered the resolution on spaceflight, when they said that the first year of the bailout, we spent about in 2008, about 800 billion, if I remember correctly, bailing out big banks and Wall Street, more than we've spent on NASA the entire time NASA's been in existence. Now, I'm not sure that this bill is the right solution for this, but I can tell you what, I can say for sure that we should not, as a country, be in the business of bailing out big banks and Wall Street. And I'm sure there was plenty of blame to go around on what happened in 2008, but I'm sure we'll all vote our conscience on this bill, but I think we need to be thoughtful about how we've almost set up an oligarchy in this country between Wall Street, the big banks, and Washington. And it's continued not only under the Bush administration, but under the Obama administration. Both administrations were complicit in this. So, again, I appreciate Representative McCann's efforts on this issue over the years, and thank you.
Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. And I wasn't going to come down on third reading, exactly. I don't come down much to the well, which is true, especially since I've gotten this new position. But Representative Swam made a point, and I just wanted to one, I just don't see how it relates to the bill, but I let it go. But the other point is, this bill, what it's continuing, is a bill I ran, I think my second or third year in the legislature. It is a good bill that helps people be able to have some options when they're trying to stay in their homes. And just to the point that Representative Swan was making, I remember being fought by the banks on the work we were doing. So to say that this is somehow something to help banks, no, this is to help homeowners. This is to help give them options. This was actually, when we first introduced it, was opposed by the banks. This is not about bailing out anyone. If it's about helping anyone, it's about helping homeowners find options to continue to stay in their homes. Because as I said when we passed the bill, and I continue to believe, if people can stay in their homes, it's better for the homeowner, better for the community, and better financially for everyone if we can find ways to keep people in their home. And I really appreciate Representative Williams carrying this bill to keep this program alive for a year, because it does help consumers. I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Stevens.
Thank you. I, too, and I just want to speak about this bill because I voted no on it, when Mark had when the Speaker had run this bill in the Business Committee. But I had two instances of people in my district who contacted me. One whose husband had passed away very suddenly, and she had 2 children, and she was out of her mind, not only in grief, but in trying to figure out how she was going to stay in her home. And she had looked at this program, and it had been very helpful to her because she was trying to find any and every way, shape, and form that she could stay in her home. Now, did this mean she would ultimately keep her home? No. In fact, I think she knew if things didn't change within the year that she probably, it might be a wash. But the idea that she could in some sort of manner go somewhere and talk about her options and how might she stay, because when someone dies suddenly, it's so destabilizing. Her kids needed something that was stable for them. And in her mind, staying in her home, trying to keep things going while she could figure things out and get it going. Because they'd used so much of their money for his sickness, it was really tight and it was really tough. Another situation where a woman's husband had left her, and she too was suddenly in this situation and called upon this program to look at how might she, again, what are my deferment options? What can I do? Here's what I make per month. If I can get an extra job or a second or a third job, could I stay in my home? I actually agree with Representative Swan in terms of, when I looked at the program at first, I said, heck no. But it's not about the bailout for the person. It's not, to me, that this person is somehow getting all kinds of money from our tax dollars. What it is to me is, how might we work a situation where you're able to stay in your home for how long till you can make these transition changes so that you can either A, you get more jobs, or B, you're going to lose your home and you know that, and you have another arrangement or something set up. So it's an odd thing to me to be here talking about this, because I was like, heck no, we're not voting for that thing. But I will tell you this. I have seen this program work in 2 instances where I have rethought about this, and do believe that having help in a time to understand deferment would be positive. And so, members, I'm going to vote on this today. And I'm sure there'll be some corner of the state that I'll be taking flack from. But I do think that in this case, that this was decent. And I do think the women that spoke to me were heartfelt. They were in grief. They were suffering. We can't alleviate all suffering, and that's not what we're here to do. But what I found this program to do was to help them with some options and to help them figure out in a time of need what their options were. This wasn't a handout, not a handout for them, not all that, but I thought that it gave decent options and it was a place they could go. Thank you.
Representative Swan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I need to clarify what I said earlier. real briefly. You know, when I talked about a bailout, I was talking about Wall Street and the big banks. I like this bill because I think it, to some degree, levels the playing field. So that's really what I intended to say, Representative Williams. And thank you very much.
Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And actually, this is my first time at the well on the third reading. But I think this is very important bill. As a state representative that represents one of the hardest hit districts in the Denver metro area, I have had personal experience, numerous experiences in the past 4 years of my district being hit and my constituents who have benefited from the deferment program. And I want to echo the sentiments of my colleagues who have come to the well to support this bill. It is going to help Colorado homeowners who may be facing foreclosure. And as I shared with you yesterday, we're not out of the woods yet. There's still about 800 foreclosures being filed in the state, and I believe this will help all of our constituents. And so I respectfully ask for a yes vote on House Bill 1312. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Seeing no further discussion, the question for the House is the passage of House Bill 1312 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine. The members proceed to vote. Representatives Conti, Landgraf, and McNulty. Close the machine. With 46 aye votes, 19 no votes, 0 excused, and 0 absent, House Bill 1312 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Corley, please read the title of the House Bill 22.
Senate Bill 22 by Senator Cafalas, also Representative Fields, concerning certified community development financial institutions in connection with authorizing such institutions to serve as a qualified holder and present a request for full or partial release of collateral pledged without presentation of the original promissory note.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of Senate Bill 22 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the passage of Senate Bill 22 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine. Members, please vote. Representatives Landgraf and Steve. Close the machine. With 38 aye votes, 27 no votes, 0 excused, and 0 absent, Senate Bill 22 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of the House Bill 1307.
House Bill 1307, Representative V. Hill, Senator Crowder, concerning the recategorization of Mineral County for the purpose of statutory provisions fixing the salaries of county officers.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of House Bill 1307 on third reading and final passage.
Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the passage of House Bill 1307 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine. Members, please vote. Representatives Gardner, Humphrey. Close the machine. With 64 aye votes, 1 no vote, 0 excused, and 0 absent, House Bill 1307 is passed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. We'll proceed to our next order of business. General order, second reading of bills. Representative Hamner. You've heard the motion. Seeing no objection, the House will resolve itself in the committee whole for consideration of general orders. Representative Hamner will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there's a request for reading a bill at length. Committee amendments will not be read unless requested, as they are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and not read unless requested. Bills will be laid over upon the motion of the majority leader. The court rule is relaxed. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over Senate Bill 131, two bills.
You have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, the bills will be laid over as requested by the majority leader. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1187.
House Bill 1187 by Representative Swam, all Senator Todd, concerning consumer protection from excess damages for repair of rental vehicles.
Representative Swam.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1187 and the Judiciary Committee report.
Thank you, Representative Swam. To the committee report.
Members, in the Judiciary Committee report, this bill came out unanimously. It further defined the aspect of physical damages on rental cars and limited the amount of hours that can be calculated in considering those damages from reduced it from 8 to 6. I urge a yes vote.
Is there further discussion on the Judiciary Committee report? Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Members, I have an amendment to the Judiciary Committee report. It is a minor amendment. However,
Representative McLaughlin, would you please move your amendment?
I move the amendment as to be displayed on the screen.
Yes, Representative McLaughlin moves Amendment L017. L017 is properly displayed on the screen. Representative McLaughlin, would you like to explain the amendment?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Members, we had a variety of discussions regarding this issue of rental companies basically not protecting the consumer with respect to basically three issues: cost of repair, diminishment of value, and loss of use. And we had a hard-fought battle. I think we went back and forth. Originally, when this bill was proposed, it had a limitation of 8 hours for the rental assessment, and it was then reduced to 6. My amendment simply reduces it to 4, which we believe is in more realistic alignment with the practices of the repair companies and will be, in my opinion, a consumer protection measure. And that's the purpose of reducing it from 6 to 4 hours.
Representative Swam.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We feel that 6 hours is appropriate here. We feel that 6 hours is a better way to protect consumers and the parties involved in these sometimes complex disputes. So I urge a no vote on this amendment. We certainly hashed out all the issues I thought very carefully in the Judiciary Committee committee, and came to a tough negotiated decision. So I ask for a rejection of this amendment.
Representative Kagan.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'd like to just explain what this 6, 8, or 4 hours does. I'm glad to do it, Representative. Okay, you've got a car. It needs 12 labor hours of work to repair in the body shop, say. 12 hours work. How long is that likely to keep it in the body shop and off the road? Is 12 hours of work likely to keep the car off the road for 2 days? Does a body shop take 2 days to do 12 hours of work repairing your car? 12 billable hours? Or does it take 3 days? Consult your experience. My belief is, and I urge and I vote to this amendment because I think 12 hours of work on a car in a body shop will normally require the body shop to have that car for 3 days. because they can, on average, do closer to 4 hours of billable hours a day, not 6. Without this amendment, you're assuming that 12 hours of work on a car takes only 2 days in the shop. So if you took it in on Monday and they said, we've got to take 12 hours doing it, do you really think you'd get it back Wednesday night, Tuesday night? I don't think so. I think you'd have to wait till Wednesday. It would take 3 days to do 12 hours work. And so you should, if you agree with me, vote yes on Amendment L017.
Is there further discussion on Amendment L017? Seeing none, the question, I'm sorry, Representative Swalm.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, this bill in large measure is a dispute between insurance companies and rental car companies, and the insurance companies take the position that based on their experience, they can get work done 8 hours a day. The rental car companies cut that all the way back to 2. We believed that 6 hours was a reasonable compromise, and that's where we came out of committee, and we asked that, or I asked that this amendment be rejected.
Representative Salazar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I was one of the Dems that voted in favor of this bill and also voted in favor of the 6 hours. And I would ask that the body reject this amendment because there was a compromise. There was a compromise on this, and I believe that that Representative Swalm has it right, and that we need to reject this amendment. I'm asking for a no vote.
Representative Lawrence.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And as most of you can see from the Journal, it did come out of committee unanimously. Although we had a lot of debate on this bill, there are, in my mind, a lot of questions still surrounding what the formula should be, and I think moving it to 4 hours is a more realistic number. If any of you have ever had your car in the shop, you know that they don't work on each car 8 hours solid. They have to spend some time doing the estimate, and then they give you the estimate to approve, and then they have to order parts, and then they have to put a part in, and they have to prep it for paint, and they have to paint it, and they have to let it dry. And the reality is that most times when cars are in the shop, they're only being worked on between 2 and 3 hours, maybe 2 to 4 hours at a time. So I argue that moving it to 4 hours is very realistic for the rental cars and the insurance companies to make sure that the compensation is calculated a little more fairly for everybody concerned. So I would ask for an aye vote on this amendment.
Representative Gardner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, notwithstanding the arguments of my friend and colleague, Representative Lawrence, the fact of the matter is that the way this bill came out of committee was the result of a very close compromise. The fact is, members, listen up, please. The fact of the matter is...
Excuse me, members, could we please draw your attention to the well? Please continue, Representative Gardner.
Thank you. Members, the fact of the matter is, I actually moved an amendment that was, in my mind, somewhat draconian. And that amendment passed 6-5 in the committee. It was an amendment that the rental car industry absolutely despised. I don't think that's too strong. And I said to the chairman, I'm not wild about my amendment, but I am tired of people not being able to reach an effective compromise. And if we can do that, I will withdraw this amendment. I will ask for its reconsideration. And so we took a recess, and in those few minutes, we amended this bill, and we did 6 hours for what was a repair day. Insurance industry wanted 8. Rental car companies wanted 4. You know, 6 was where we were. Now, if we want to, the Committee of the Whole in the House is perfectly entitled to start tinkering with this, but understand when you do, you try to take a bite, more bites at the apple, Representative. We may just move this bill back to committee, or I may ask that it be laid over so that we can do the California solution to this and have a debate on that. I don't know what the majority would let me do, but that's what I would like to do. If we start messing with this, we can go to the California thing, and I don't know what that will do. Maybe it'll kill the bill. Or we can leave well enough alone in the way that this came out of committee, because I, in fact, then, based on a compromise during the recess, said, fine, I will ask for a reconsideration. It was reconsidered, and it came to the floor, and now we're going to do this one more time. I can start offering these things, and we can start doing all that, or we can stick with the committee report, move on down the road. It'll go to the Senate. Who knows what will happen? I ask that we reject this amendment.
Representative Swam.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a little background on how we got into the Judiciary Committee. I worked with both sides of this issue, both the rental car people and the insurance folks at length, and trying to come to some sort of a reasonable compromise, and it was just very difficult. And honestly, we didn't get to what I considered a reasonable compromise until my friend and colleague offered what I described in committee as the nuclear option, the California approach to how to calculate these damages. And at that point, finally, the parties decided it was time to come to a compromise, and that's how we came to the 6 hours. So, as Representative Gardner said, I guess if we want to, we can, fight this battle all over again, but I think we've come to a reasonable point, and I urge a no vote on this amendment and that we adopt the Judiciary Committee report as it came out of committee.
Representative Labuda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I wasn't in committee, but anytime I hear the words that we have compromised already, and it's between 8 and 4, one side wants 8, the other wants 4, so if we compromise at 6, I'm fine with 6, and I agree with Representative Swam. Please vote no on this amendment.
Representative Salazar. Representative Court.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay. I always come up here and pound the podium, and Representative Gardner pulled my trick. But in committee, I pounded the table, and I said, okay, guys, come up with a compromise. Representative Kagan, the chair, said, let's recess. Let's get the parties together. In 15 minutes, they came up with a compromise. I urge a no vote on this amendment. Let's go ahead with the compromise that we fashioned in the committee. That's the point of committees, is to do that work. That's where we are. So I'd like to, at least at this point, leave this as is from the committee report. So no on this amendment. Thank you.
Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Well, without going into great detail over this huge issue, I think the characterization that we had a compromise is correct. However, you need to note that for about 10 minutes, those California statutes were adopted wholesale by the committee. And this was on the motion by Representative Gardner. This compromise that I'm putting forth, and I want to make it clear that at the time we voted on this amendment, on the bill, rather, I said I'm good for today because I made it clear that I was going to offer this amendment. I believe this amendment is well justified. It's in accordance with the actual practices of the repair companies, and it's also in the public interest. So I would, again, urge this amendment.
Is there further discussion on L017? Seeing none, the question before the committee is the adoption of L017 to the Judiciary Committee report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no.
No.
Okay, L017 has been lost. To the Judiciary Committee report. Is there further discussion, Representative Swam? Seeing none, the question before the committee is the adoption of the Judiciary Committee report. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The Judiciary Committee report is adopted. To House Bill 1187, Representative Swam.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, just a quick background on this bill. It's an interesting topic. It grew out of a small incident down in Durango where a woman rented a car, had a minor collision with a deer, and was billed there was a dispute over about a $300 claim to fix this car. This issue became so important to the rental car company and the insurance company that was involved with it that it went all the way to the Colorado Supreme Court in a case called Koenig versus Perco. It's just kind of an interesting historical note on this. They ended up spending close to $300,000 in attorney fees. What is important, however, about this bill is that I think it provides some guide rails around how you define damages when you have incidents like this, and they're very common in this state. People come here from all over the world and rent cars. And what this bill does is provide guidance about how you calculate damages when a rental car is involved in some sort of an incident like this. So that was my intent. I certainly had no intent, unless forced to the wall, to adopt a very draconian regime such as been used in the state of California, but we felt we needed some guidelines about how to calculate these damages so we don't wind up in another big lawsuit, because the way that case ended up, I still think there's uncertainty around calculating these damages. So I think the way the bill is right now, everyone is not perfectly satisfied. I still think it's a compromise type approach to taking care of this issue. But for that reason, I think it's probably not a bad approach. So I urge a yes vote on House Bill 1187. And I'd love to get it out of my hair as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative Swam. Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Members, even though it may have a minor imperfection regarding the hours, I would strongly support this bill. Thank you.
Representative Salazar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I was a big fan of this bill and still am. And I particularly appreciated what Representative Gardner did in committee in bringing a big amendment to this bill in order to get people to start talking with each other. And I seconded that motion for his amendment. And as a result, we came out with a bill that everybody agreed upon. It came out unanimously. We discussed it. We got things settled out within a matter of 15 minutes because of what Representatives Gardner and Swam did in committee. And I really appreciated that. And that was democracy in action. That's exactly what we're sent here to do, is to have those kinds of discussions on bills that involve consumer protection as well as other kinds of bills. And I appreciated it. And I'm still in favor of this bill, and I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Kagan.
And members, although this bill doesn't have quite the exact provisions that I would have preferred, I'm still in favor of this bill. It puts sensible guardrails on what can be claimed from a renter when a car rental is damaged, and it does it in an intelligent, sensible way, and an almost perfectly fair way. I don't think it's perfectly fair, but I think it's fair generally. So I do urge an aye vote on this bill, in spite of having urged an aye vote on the previous amendment and it not having been adopted. I do urge an aye vote on this bill.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1187. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. House Bill 1187 passes. Mr. Kohler. Please read the title of House Bill 1289.
House Bill 1289, Representative McNulty, also Senator Johnston, concerning the reinvestment of unused governmental monies held by financial institutions that are in excess of the amount insured by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation and accounts of other financial institutions.
Representative McNulty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1289.
Is there any discussion on House Bill 1289? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1289. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. House Bill 1289 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 131.
Senate Bill 131 by Senator King, also Representative Wright, concerning the removal of certain identifying information from motor vehicle registration card.
Thank you. And colleagues, this bill has been previously amended. We're continuing the discussion. Representative Wright.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Do I need to remove the bill?
No. You do not, Representative Wright. Please proceed.
All right, Madam Chair.
Excuse me, Representative Wright. Members, would you please address your attention to the well? Thank you very much. Representative Wright.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm told by our Chief Clerk I do need to move the bill, so I move Senate Bill 131.
Thank you. To the bill, Representative Wright.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have discussed this bill, and I believe that there is an amendment in the works, so I will defer to my colleague.
Representative Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L006 to SB 131.
And would you like to have it
Ask that it be
displayed? Okay, Amendment L006 has been properly moved and displayed. Representative Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, what this amendment would do is pretty simple. It would leave the address on the voter registration card. Right now, the bill as it stands strikes the address and strikes the signature from the motor vehicle registration card. This would maintain the address. Representative Wright, I commend the work that you're doing to try to protect people from ID theft. However, I think the unintended consequence of this bill would be that it would remove an identification that would be acceptable for voting at a polling location, not to register to vote. However, it is an ID that is acceptable because it shows a voter's address for them to vote in person at a polling location. So in that light, I think it's important that we maintain the address on the motor vehicle registration card, and I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Wright.
Thank you, colleagues. And let me tell you, when I decided to run this bill in the House for Senator King, I never in my wildest dreams thought that this would become a debate on a voter or elections issue. And I did not believe that it would conjure our partisan sides on either side of this issue. That is not my intent. That wasn't my intent to begin with. My intent is to protect people in the state of Colorado from fraud. I still believe that this bill in its original form would have done that because it does not solve the issue of the fact that you still have this address information printed on your registration card and generally kept in your glove box. If your car is broken into, a thief would have access to that information. That said, I think this has been a great education opportunity for the few of those in the state probably that are paying attention to this debate. Keep your registration card on your person. Keep it in your wallet. Keep your information card in your wallet, along with your driver's license. That will protect you from this information being stolen. I do support Amendment L006, and I would ask for an aye vote because that was not, again, my intent to take away a form of identification that can be used at a polling place to prove residency. That remains to be the case, and I would ask that we work on this, possibly Representative Moreno, to see if we can come up with another solution in the long term. Ask for an aye vote, members.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L006 to Senate Bill 131. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. L006 passes. Representative Wright to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So what Senate Bill 131 accomplishes now is it removes the requirement that you have your signature on the back of the vehicle registration card. This accomplishes two things. I don't know how many of us, I certainly have forgotten to sign the back of that card when I get a new one. Prevents individuals from being fined for not remembering to sign the back of the card, and more importantly, also prevents an individual who might break into your vehicle from forging your signature on legal documents, saving you from potential identification theft in the long run. So I would ask for an aye vote on Senate Bill 131.
Is there further discussion on Senate Bill 131? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 131. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Senate Bill 131 passes. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
You've heard the motion. Seeing no objection, the committee will rise and report.
The House will come to order. Mr. Kohler, please read the report of the committee of the whole.
Mr. Speaker, Committee of the Whole begs leave to report under consideration the following attached bills being second reading thereof and makes following recognitions thereon. House Bills 1187 amended 1289 passed on second reading and are gross placed on the counter for third and final passage. Senate Bill 131 amended passed on second reading and are revised placed on the counter for third and final passage.
Representative Hamner. You've heard the motion. There are no amendments at the desk. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representatives Buck, Court, Del Grosso, Duran, Fields, Gardner, McCann, McLaughlin, Humphrey, Janal, Murray, Rankin, Tyler, Vigil, Young, and Scott. Close the machine with 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, 0 excused, and 0 absent. The report of the committee of the whole is adopted. Announcements and introductions. Representative Labuda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, if you want breakfast tomorrow morning, here's breakfast. Colorado Heights University is in my House district. They're going to be having a continental breakfast, including standard American fare as well as traditional international foods prepared to represent the diversity of their student body. They will be here tomorrow. Countries represented will include Mexico, Syria, Mongolia, Japan, Russia, Tajikistan, China, Kazakhstan, Iran, Vietnam, Morocco, Libya, Turkmenistan, Korea, Paraguay, Ghana, Taiwan, Gabon, Moldova, Cameroon, Iraq, and Ukraine, and I may have left out one, but a whole bunch of countries. But please welcome them tomorrow morning, and then they will be on the floor later in the day to greet us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Primavera.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For those members that were in appropriation that are on public health, we are meeting at 1:30 today.
Representative Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, in the theme of Ag Week this week, I wanted to refresh your memory that there is a 2014 weed and pest control reception tonight that's being sponsored by your Colorado Agriculture Aviation Association, Colorado Weed Management Association, and the Rocky Mountain Agribusiness Association. Members, this is at Katie Mullins and will be a great event for you tonight from 4:30 to 7:30. I urge you to attend. Thank you.
Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the Business, Labor, Economic Workforce Development Committee, we are scheduled to meet upon adjournment. We will meet at 11 a.m. in the old Supreme Court chambers. We will have a briefing. We will break at noon for lunch. We will return at 1:30 for testimony and for the rest of the agenda. 11 a.m. Old Supreme Court chambers. Thank you.
Representative McCann.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the Health Insurance and Environment Committee, we do have 2 bills today for action only, so try to be downstairs in about 10 minutes. All right, thanks.
Representative Singer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I don't know if they made it up to the gallery yet or not, but the students of Crossroads School, 6th through 12th grade, should be here today. And if you would all join me in welcoming the students from Crossroads School. Thank you.
Representative Labuda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When I made the announcement about breakfast this morning, I neglected to give other details. It will be in the old Supreme Court chambers from 7:30 to 9. See you tomorrow morning, and thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any further announcements or introductions? Seeing none, Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the House stand in recess until 1 p.m. this afternoon.
Seeing no objection, the House will stand in recess until 1 p.m. this afternoon. Remember, tomorrow we'll be caucusing on the budget. So you can hiss all you want. It's still going to happen. The House will stand in recess.